Hey, a self-defense event happens in seconds. From the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense, but if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
Should we do a Mickey Mouse Club roundtable introduction with everybody here in the studio? Now we got the whole crew's here. I don't think that cord's going to be long enough, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. So Alicia, how you doing?
MICKEYMOU. See, you didn't think I remembered.
I knew you. I knew you did. I knew you would. Alicia's here.
I'm here.
Our old buddy Joe Dramisi.
Yes, I'm here too.
How you doing, man?
I'm great.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, been a while.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. You're coming into your talk. What's your segment today?
You wanted me to come in and talk about a podcast I did with John Olson.
Yes, that was an excellent podcast. And John
good.
Olson's an excellent guy, and you're not too shabby yourself. So I'm glad you could be here, man.
That was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that. So
and thank
look forward to talking about
for
that.
recertifying me for my CCW. How did I do?
You're welcome. You passed.
I passed.
Be honest.
Yeah, be honest. Go ahead. How did I do? Did I do okay?
He did very well.
Yes. Joe did. He didn't. There were no like shoulder rolls into a hostage situation 50 yards away. But yeah, I passed.
We could
Hold on a second. Let me just kind of visualize that. I'd love to see you roll down the side of a hill. That'd be cool.
All right. Let's
We're
do
gonna
it.
We'll do it. We'll go out to the range.
And then we'll go have spaghetti for breakfast.
Sounds
like you like.
No.
Cold. Cold.
Hey, Action Jackson's here.
What's up, young man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. So what do you think of your Christmas present?
It's awesome.
You gonna have some fun with it?
I sure am.
You're gonna go after the cat?
Maybe.
What is it? Tell everybody what it is.
Well,
It is.
called Pump and Shoot, or Pump Shot. Hey, you're gonna have fun with those. By the way, Alicia wanted to open it up and shoot everybody.
No, I was trying to talk him into shooting you when you walked in. Yeah.
See? Guess all the little balls around. But anyway, have fun with it. I thought you'd enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
So what'd you tell me you got for
You got to use the mic. Yeah, what did you get for Christmas?
Well, I got a lot of Lego sets and one that had 4,215 pieces.
Oh my gosh. Is that here, there, and everywhere?
He was concerned. He said he wasn't sure when they were going to have the time to put all that together. I said, you got to make the time. You got to get that on the calendar.
Yeah, really.
It's going to be a
Well, he's
multi-session.
kind of a busy guy.
You got to calendar that multi-session, multi-day, multi-hour. I mean, it's important. That kind of thing is important. So we had our meet and greet for the sheriff. Joe, you attended. What did you think?
I did. I thought it was actually pretty good. I was interested to hear the questions and her answers to it, and I think it was not because I don't know. I met with her previously with Kelly Martinez, and she's not. She doesn't strike me as a politician. She doesn't speak that way, but the content I thought was really good. I like the answers to some of the questions that I heard there.
So what we did is for our 10-ring membership are those who donate $1,000 a year or $100 a month. For our special 10-ring members, we had a special meet and greet event at the butcher shop, which Dave forgot about.
You know what?
Oh, here it comes.
You're absolutely correct.
You were eating spaghetti.
No, I'm sitting there and I went.
It was a very good event. So it was for the 10 ringers. It was a private event at the butcher shop. They have a nice private little room. It was a smoky, back-filled political event, just like I like.
Why does that not surprise me? I knew I'd miss that. You guys smoke cigars?
No, there weren't any cigars, but there was hummus, which is very similar.
Yeah, there was hummus. Yes, and a lot of San Diego politicians.
And I'm glad.
There were a lot of San Diego politicians.
Carl DeMaio there?
He couldn't make it, but we had the John Franklin, the Vista mayor, the Dane White, the mayor of Escondido. We had the assessor, Jordan, new county assessor, and Jordan Marks. And then there are a number of others. Of course, Jim Miller from the Cajon Valley school board, and a number of other elected officials that I'm not.
You
I
had
know-
Andrew Hayes, who's going to be president someday.
Andrew
you know?
Hayes, all in my brain. Love that guy. He really is. He's great. And he announced at our event, I think this was the first public announcement that he is running for the assembly out in East County, which I'm very, very happy for. He'll be great.
Yeah, that's right. We got the private secret announcement at the annual Hilliker Christmas party.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so
only the movers and shakers get to go to that.
So this wasn't so it wasn't the first public event.
No, it is the first public because it was a hush hush, don't tell anybody. But
so this was a major announcement.
That's right. I was rubbing shoulders there. It was cool.
Well, it was cool. So the 10 ringers, what we're going to start doing in San Diego is on the odd months, the 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. We're going to have some kind of speaker, and we're going to do like a little, meet and greet of somebody interesting. They're going to talk, questions, answer. Might be political, might just be fun, might be Second Amendment. A couple of hors d'oeuvres, maybe a drink. We're going to do that once a month on the odd months, and on the even months, Joe, you're going to take them shooting, right?
Yeah, when I can, we'll do the sporting clays again, right?
Yeah, on the even months, we're going to have the sporting clays, most of which are going to be led by Joe. There's just a couple more things for the 10 ringers to do. So if you're not a 10 ringer, now's the time to join. Go to San Diego County Gun Owners.com, go to the join page, and become a 10 ringer today.
So if you thought I missed the last one,
yeah,
I'm guaranteeing it. If you're doing the 1st, the 3rd, the 9th, the 12th, the 15th, and the 32nd, I think you're doing that, so I will forget.
No, it's every other. I'm gonna have to put you on my to-do list.
Yes,
make sure you get.
You got to put me on your phone.
You know who I'm thinking about for the next speaker is I ran into Randy Jones at KSI.
Yeah,
he loves guns, and I think I'll bet you he'd have a couple of good stories to
He's
tell.
got some awesome stories.
Some of them he can tell.
Maybe.
Okay, attend a CCW class. Classes are scheduled for Inland Empire, Orange County. Visit the events calendar on each website, OrangeCountyGunOwners.com if you're in Orange County, InlandEmpireGunOwners.com if you're in Riverside and San Bernardino. Of course, San Diego CountyGunOwners.com. Just go to the calendar, and you'll see when you can get instruction on how to apply for your CCW. Get Gun Owners Radio merch. Buy it at shop.gunownersradio.com. Women and men's T-shirts, hats, mugs, and more. All kinds of really, really cool things. Now, before we go to a break, I want to set up the next segment. Our good buddy John Petrolino on Bearing Arms wrote Olympian Gabby Franco censored on LinkedIn. So I called Gabby, and she's calling in. We're going to talk to her about how she was censored on LinkedIn in the next segment. This is our favorite.
If you have legal matters that involve firearms, and you need to call California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon, who we need to get back in. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant,
Gabby's online.
call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. You can call him at 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com.
Okay, Bearing Arms writes, Olympian Gabby Franco censored on LinkedIn. This was written by the Pen Patriot, John Petrolino, better known as the Gabagool Patriot. Olympian Gabby Franco and I chatted almost a full year ago, John writes, back at the end of January 2022. It was great to play catch-up with the Olympian turned advocate and competitive shooter. Franco was also on Top Shot, et cetera, et cetera. Goes on to talk about that Gabby was, for whatever reason, censored by LinkedIn, which we don't normally think of as, I'm not even sure how they would censor. I don't really spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but Joe, you're fairly familiar with LinkedIn.
Yeah, I used to, when I was doing that kind of work, I was there for a lot. I was on there a lot, but I do post blogs on one of their politics and American culture or something.
Oh, so they have like interesting.
Yeah, they have all sorts of groups on there. But yeah, I didn't think that they didn't seem like a real, like a real woke group, I guess, that they do that kind of stuff. That's surprising. I'm interested to hear Gabby's story here.
Well, then let's get to Gabby. Gabby, how are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for calling in. What a pleasure it is to hear from you. I'm dying. I'm on the edge of my seat to know exactly what happened with LinkedIn. You know what he should have called? I'm gonna call John after this. I'm gonna tell him The name of this story should have been LinkedIn Locked Out. So tell us what happened with LinkedIn. What was the problem?
Well, so this is not, I mean, even though you guys is the first time you hear this, but it has been happening to me for quite a while. This is the third time in a row that I post something related specifically with firearms that I get banned. The second time I was like baffled, and I actually disputed it because it was a video, a shooting tip that had nothing to do with shooting per se. Like I was not teaching how to shoot the gun or anything like that. I was actually telling people, if you don't, if your training doesn't go well, make sure that you learn something. And I say that in a sense that could help you in any aspect of your life, right? No big deal. I thought it was a very good tip, very good lesson, and boom, got banned.
So the video did the video actually was there a gun in the video, or were you just kind of talking to the camera?
Yeah. No. There was like me in the shooting range, just shooting in the shooting range, and me in the background speaking up. And so they banned it. And then when I disputed it, not only they put that down, but they also brought other stuff from the past. So it's almost like they went back to my profile and they say, oh, this one and this one and this one. I'm like, wait a second.
LinkedIn's been carrying stuff around in its purse, just waiting to pounce.
Right, so
unresolved issues between you and LinkedIn, and they just poured it all out on you, huh?
I don't know. And so it took me a little while. I started putting some other stuff in the media. And then I thought, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to just put this. It's about PRS because I'm going to start shooting PRS. And I put a LinkedIn because I have my 6.5 Creedmoor and I have a 22 caliber rifle. And I was asking, which rifle you guys like the most for PRS. And it was great. I mean, the engagement was awesome. People were, everybody. There was not even one negative comment, which, I have like 18,000 followers on LinkedIn. But sure enough, it got banned. And I'm like, what in the world?
Did the video get banned, or did they delete your profile, or what's the extent of what they actually did?
Well, with the video, which was previous to this they took down my post, that previous video, they actually not canceled, but they put down my whole profile.
Oh, wow. So did you have to...
the video,
you had to start over with a new profile, or
no, I did not. I disputed it. I have a very cordial, what you can call cordial, conversation through email with these people, but it didn't end up into anything else than they said, you know what, we're just gonna let you run your profile again, but if this happens more and more and more, we're gonna just wipe out your, cancel your profile completely.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was very drastic. And so that's why I stopped posting much on LinkedIn. And then this was my first, the latest post that John wrote about was the first time I post again with something related to firearms after that huge deal that happened with that video. And then I was I wouldn't say frustrated, because I've learned to see social media for what it is. They don't run my life. You know what I mean? I don't live by them, for them, or anything like that. However, as an individual who engage in social media, because that's how nowadays we can communicate the most to the masses, they're important tools to maintain.
Agreed.
So I thought, you know what? For LinkedIn... So then I blacked out the rifles and I colored them in blue, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, there you go. I solved your problem. Voila. You don't see him. And again, and it turned out that post was 10 or 100 times more engagement than the original one.
That's hilarious, because people wanted to see you. Yeah. You thought you should maybe color it, make it look like a banana or something,
We've already done that.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and that actually brings up a point. So when we do, we broadcast this live over our YouTube channel, our radio show here. And
Okay.
when we would show a gun live, YouTube would boot us. And we found out, okay, they showed us that if you're going live, can't show a gun. If it's recorded, if it's pre-recorded, you post it, you can show a gun. But if it's live, no gun. Did they show you some kind of policy that was clear, or did they show you some kind of, well, it's against our community standards, or some kind of general malarkey?
It's not clear, because they said that you're not supposed to sell, you're not supposed to do anything that is dangerous, blah 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 blah. But none of that, what they are saying, or their rules, I'm breaking. You know what I mean? I'm not saying absolutely nothing dangerous about it. I'm talking about a sport, PRS. Even somebody from Spain replied to my comment, sharing what is PRS in Spain. So even people in other parts of the world understand that PRS is a sport. So obviously, and that's why in my post I talk about motivated ignorance. So motivated ignorance in terms that most people understand is putting your head, having the head under the sand. It's like you don't want to hear it, you want to know it. It's bad, it's ugly, but you don't want to know anything about it. And right, so motivated ignorance, that's what it is, that you don't want to learn. And it's very interesting that happens in LinkedIn, that we're supposed to be professionals. People are supposed to be professionals. You're supposed to be, I want to say intellectuals, but people who have possibly haven't, a certain rank in their profession, in their lives, whatever. And then you get these individuals that sometimes they engage in the most outrageous conversations I get. And to me, it's funny because I am a very chill person. Somebody can be screaming at me, and I don't scream at them. I just look at them and say, dude, what are you doing?
Well, it's a really good point about the fact that it's supposed to be for professionals. LinkedIn, all these social media platforms have kind of their own little niche or their own personality, and LinkedIn is supposed to be a bunch of professionals. So presumably you're not going to have children, on there. So it's not like they could claim, oh, well, gee, kids, think of the children. And surprisingly, I wouldn't think that you'd have a bunch of snowflakes on LinkedIn, because you kind of have to have a job to have a LinkedIn.
I don't think they know what she was talking about. Just the fact that a gun was involved, they just arbitrarily.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. They
whacked her.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Because when you stop and think about it, how many people will you have to hire to be knowledgeable of everything out there? That would be a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the key thing was the gun.
So where does it stand? Where are you at with it now?
Oh no, I just left the post like that, and so to avoid more things, I'm just making kind of fun with it. I'm making fun with it, so having fun with that. So now I'm posting myself in obvious, let's say that it's obvious that I'm shooting per se, and so I kind of put a little sticker on top of the gun. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Or
that's hilarious.
Or the last one, I put a sticker in front of the gun that you can still see the shape of a pistol, so people know it's a pistol. But then I put the sticker said "quote of the day," and then the caption was the whole Second Amendment.
So Alicia has a question for you.
Oh, I was just going to say, Gabby, so when Mike first introed that you were going to be on, I pulled you up on LinkedIn, and in the time that we've been talking, you've gained 6 followers.
Oh, look at
just
that.
so you know.
Every single one of our listeners has now followed you on LinkedIn.
Woo.
Hey, Gabby, I have a fellow competitive shooter here. His name's Action Jackson. He's 9 years old. He's just getting into competitive shooting. He shoots, I forget what he shoots, a Glock and something else. What else do you shoot?
BB gun.
No. And it's SIG. It's SIG and Glock. And he's really, really good. He has a question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
Yes. Well, it's a very important question, and it's, I would say, difficult to answer because there are different purposes for different firearms.
All right, everybody that he asked that question to, you all must have gone to Denny's and discussed this, because everybody says the same thing.
Yep.
It's like picking out your favorite child. Hey, can you hang with us?
Actually, you got 10 seconds. We quick pick one in 10 seconds.
Well, I want to say that the Walther Arms PDP F series.
Nice.
Bingo. Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving restoring Orange County's self-defense rights. And if you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join OCGunowners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is more than supporting the lawsuits for the Second Amendment. They have developed an effective infrastructure that focuses on local outreach and activism. Volunteer at a shooting social, at a gun shop and tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Become a member today. OCGunowners.com/join. So what's up with ghost guns?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that kept coming up is, and one of the things we're going to really have to pay attention to going into the new year down in San Diego, are these listening sessions that happened. That last one we got 100 and something people there, and there were 6 of them in total, and really in those listening sessions we outnumbered the anti-gunners in just about every one of those listening sessions, and they're set to release the kind of a summary. I was going to say the results, not quite the results, but a summary of the things that I guess they learned or things that people said. Of course, if that summary doesn't reflect the pro-Second Amendment opinions,
then what's the point?
It's a total fraud.
Right.
And in San Diego, we're releasing the dates for our monthly meetings, which are coming up at the end of the month here, and that's one thing we're going to focus on in the monthly meetings. We're going to talk about what happened and what we can do to make sure that nothing bad results. But it's actually the 17th, 18th, and 19th. They'll be up on the website. They'll be up on the calendar tomorrow, and of course they'll be in the email as well. So come join us so you can learn exactly what happened in those listening sessions, what we're expecting, what the next step is, and what we can do to stop. But something that kept coming up is the term ghost gun. It's their boogeyman, it's their, it used to be machine guns or whatever, and weapons of war,
assault weapons.
Yeah, assault weapons. It used to, they pick these kind of boogeyman terms, and wrap every discussion in that term, and it kept coming up. Ghost guns kept coming up. Ghost guns. So what is a ghost gun? Well, they don't really know what a ghost gun is. And it's kind of a fun term. It started out as a fun term to describe homemade guns that weren't required to be serialized. Mm-hmm. And some politician called it a ghost gun, and then they took it.
Stuck with it.
Yeah. I think it was. Do you remember? Was it De Leon or one of these guys called it a ghost? Described an unserialized firearm as ghost gun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good name though. If that's what you're trying to do, from their point of view, it doesn't surprise me. It came from California. If that is in fact where it came from.
I think I can't quite remember. Somebody out there is screaming at the radio that I'm incorrect. I know the real answer, but it's come to just be known as any kind of firearm that was. I guess I would say I think it's fair to say that in the true Second Amendment community, a ghost gun is really just any unserialized firearm, a firearm that someone was homemade and they weren't required to serialize it. But on the other side, the anti-gun side, a ghost gun is anything that a criminal, almost anything really, it's any kind of gun. But really, what they're talking about is any kind of gun that was either made in order to commit crime, or any gun that they take the serial number and they scratch it off, or any gun they steal and scratch off the serial number. That's
still really a ghost gun.
They call it a ghost gun.
Well, it's like the guy that was on my racing show before this show. He built his race car from scratch.
So it's a ghost car?
I have to call him and tell him you have a ghost car because he doesn't have any serial numbers on it.
Well, and it used to be, by the way, for everybody listening, you no longer, in the state of California, all guns have to be serialized.
Right.
Period. So,
but didn't that destroy the kit companies that were selling you kits to build a gun?
What happened there was, and that's actually a very good lead-in. What happened there was,
that's why you hired me.
The state of California said, "Hey, look, here are the steps to make a homemade firearm. You do this, and then you do that, and at some point you send in this information and the serial number, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And it wasn't great. It was a dumb process, and it wasn't.
Nobody's going to send it.
It was kind of hard. Well, no, you could follow it, and people were following it. People said, "All right, fine, this stinks. I hate it, but if this is the process, I'm still going to make my homemade firearms. And here are the steps. Here's what I got to do." What the county and the city of San Diego said, "Okay, what we're going to do is before you can even buy the raw material, you have to have a serial number on the raw material."
Right.
And that's what ruined the kits. So they took they took like step 8, and said
put it in number 1.
and now it's number 1. And what that effectively did is it stopped anyone from being
and
able
that
to
was their
comply
idea.
with the law.
That was right.
I'm sure it was the idea. In fact, I spoke with the guy in Von Wolpert's office. I'm pretty sure it was her. She was a city council member in San Diego. I spoke with the guy that really was spearheading this, and I shouldn't worry. He told me, because he's a veteran and he knows about guns. That's what I was told by him. So therefore I shouldn't worry. So. He literally said that, by the way. Don't worry, I'm a veteran, I know about guns, it's all okay. But dug into this thing, and he basically they admitted that that's exactly what they were trying to do. Is just they were really trying to discourage the ability. Now, when they talk about ghost guns, they're talking about criminals. When we talk about ghost guns, we're talking about hobbyists. We're talking about people that just want to do this,
Craftsman.
as a side. So. We actually, I don't know how many people know about this. We get asked about this all the time, especially after the listening sessions. People are asking, gee, what are we doing about these ghost guns? What are we doing about the ghost guns? What are we doing about these laws against ghost guns, etc.? Well, the Farr versus Bonta case, FAHR, if you go to our website, go to any of the websites, OrangeCountyGunOwners.com, InlandEmpireGunOwners.com, SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com/lawsuits. There's a page there that shows the lawsuits that we're either plaintiffs in or we've done an amicus brief, and we are plaintiffs in the Farr case, FAHR. In fact, Desi, who runs our women's program, is a named plaintiff. Colin Rudolph, who's a San Diego County Gun Owners board member, is a named plaintiff, and then San Diego County Gun Owners PAC. And it's against the city of San Diego City Police Chief David Nieslet, and it's working its way through the court system. That's what we're doing. And then the county basically cut and paste the San Diego ordinance so that now it applies to the unincorporated areas. So if you live in Oceanside, that's an incorporated. If you don't know if you live in an incorporated area or an unincorporated area, if you have a mayor, you live in an incorporated area. So Oceanside, San Marcos, Poway doesn't apply. But Fallbrook, Julian, Alpine, those are unincorporated, and it does apply. So I guess my question is, Joe, what are your thoughts on this whole ghost gun debacle?
Well, again, it's the same idea, and I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, like with the assault rifle. There's no legitimate public safety or crime prevention kind of thing, related to the ghost guns. You'll hear them talk about, because I heard somebody a while ago was saying SDPD was finding lots and lots of ghost guns. But, a crime is virtually never solved by tracing a serial number back to a criminal. It almost never happens. And I think I wrote something about this a while ago, because I looked in New York. And in New York State, somebody went through and looked at information from like 1909 up to 1989 or something, and they found 4 cases where a serial number on a gun actually helped them find something. And one of the cases was debatable. So it just doesn't happen. So there is no legitimate purpose for forcing people to do this. And the other thing too, it's with like one of the things that a lot of the anti-gunners miss is there are so many aspects to firearms and people that do different things with firearms. And the building of a firearm is very enjoyable to some people that like to do that, because they have the skill set to build those things. They have the the machining capabilities and the desire to do it. And it's very satisfying and rewarding for them to build those guns. And people have been doing that ever since there have been guns. And there's no legitimate reason for doing this kind of thing other than like what you were saying.
For banning ghost guns. There's no legitimate reason for banning ghost guns.
Because that's what this requirement now that's almost impossible to follow, where you have to serialize raw material and stuff. I mean, that's all it does. It just disrupts people from doing that. It has no public safety benefit or anything. And, it's unfortunate, but, it's the society we live in now until we get things changed.
But see, it's another tool in their belt.
It is. Anything to disrupt that. Because the stuff with the, same thing with the assault rifles, right? Very few people are, very few crimes are committed with that platform, that AR platform rifle. And very few people are shot with rifles at all across the country. If you look at the FBI statistics for people that are shot, a tiny percentage are shot with rifles of all kinds. So if they, for instance, eliminated all the AR pattern rifles tomorrow, it would make no difference. I mean,
Well,
in crime, it wouldn't do anything.
Very few people, a very, very small percentage of people in the country are actually criminally shot with a firearm. It's a really small percentage, especially if you take out, I don't think suicide's a crime. I don't think you get charged for a crime if you commit suicide. I don't think that's so you take that out.
Hard to prosecute.
You take out. I don't mean to laugh at that, but I mean that's how ridiculous it is, right? So suicide's obviously not a crime. You take out those deaths. You take out or people that even attempt it with a firearm. You take out defensive gun uses. So people that shoot somebody.
Politicians that shoot people in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah, well, that was not a crime. He was
I
not.
know.
Yeah,
He didn't go to jail.
You take out defensive gun uses. You take out accidents. Those aren't crimes typically. Some are. You're left with very few people who are actually criminally shot by a firearm in the United States. Right. 350 million people out of the 350 million people every year, a teeny tiny percentage. Alicia, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the whole ghost gun? The whole thing, the whole Megillah.
So obviously any kind of regulation of any kind is going to be an infringement. So it's problematic. And you give them that slippery slope. You let them have that or you don't fight it. One thing is going to roll into the other. And when it comes down to this whole serialization and the registration of guns, all that you really like Joe stated, what is that going to do? How is that going to help? It comes down to that. Just seems to me that all they want to do is they want to have their hands in it. They want to know who has what, where they can go to find it. If they need to come and take them, what are you going to have and how many are you going to have? There's no safety issue or benefit to that. Why do they need that information?
And if you don't support them, you're the bad guy.
You're a big jerk. Well, they say there are only two reasons for registration, and that's taxation and confiscation.
Correct.
That's it.
Exactly.
Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego, Action Jackson? Did you know that?
No.
That's the next thing we're going to teach you how to do is fly an airplane. What do you think? You love it?
Maybe.
They'll put a cushion in the seat. You'll be able to do it. Pilots can fly
Duct
almost.
tape them to the wing.
Well, you know what? That's even a better idea. You
There
can
you
ride
go.
outside the plane.
What do you think of that?
You and the duck.
That's action, Jackson.
There you go, man. Hey, you're full of action. Pilots can fly almost every day, and we're close to the ocean as well as the desert and mountains. SDFTI instructors can help you learn to navigate around the international border and have a time of your life. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny San Diego right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is easy. You can call them at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly at SDFTI. That's 858-569-1822. Hey, before we go to Joe, did you tell him about the nice compliment he got?
Yeah, you saw that. Did you read that email about your fan in, I want to say it was
Alaska?
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri.
Did you
Hey,
did he read
Hollywood.
You read it? Action Jackson, did you read about your fan email? You got that a couple weeks ago, didn't you?
He's right in the middle of killing a
no.
lizard.
You didn't see your fan email? All right, well, we'll get
Oh,
you
man.
We'll read it to you.
Yeah, I'll read it to you.
Mom.
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 All right, well, we got
Go
a
ahead.
cool surprise for you. Okay, Santee celebrity John Olson, who is he's actually an agent at Mission Realty Group. So check him out. He's an awesome guy. If you spend any time at all in Santee, you have probably seen John Olson. He's a really great guy. He has a great podcast that interviews local interesting folk, and Joe Dramisi was recently on.
That's right. It was made even greater one day.
That's right.
So yeah, that was fun. Before I do that though, somebody told me a dad joke the other day that I know you'd be interested
Oh,
in.
all right. Fire
So I
away.
figure- you probably know this one, but somebody was saying they'd read an article from a guy who had been out and seen the Mount Rushmore area before they carved all the statues in there, and they described it as unprecedented.
That's
That's an Action Jackson joke.
I get it. Awesome.
So yeah, I figured you'd like that one.
That's awesome. That's almost like the. Did you hear they made they're making a prequel to the Titanic, and it's about the making of the Titanic, and people are describing it as riveting.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
where's Melissa when you need her?
Kelly's so disappointed in me. All right. I go ahead, John. Anyway.
So so
Or Joe.
I was on the John Olson podcast, and that's pretty, actually it's pretty cool what he does. He's been doing it for a couple of years now, and he interviews people around the community that do cool things for the community. He's interviewed Michael, I know.
Yeah, I went on there. It was cool.
And Rob McNellis, I think, has been on there.
San Diego
There've
County
been,
gun owner's board member, and
Santee City Councilman.
Santee
Is it
City
mainly
Council.
gun related?
No,
not at all.
It's just all stuff in Santee. And it was the way I found out about it. The same woman that cuts my hair cuts Michael's hair, because
This Michael?
yeah, Michael, because Michael always looks so sharp and adorable. And I say, hey, who cuts your hair? He says, you got to go see Heather.
That's
So,
a true story.
It is, yeah.
Heather is the best. I get a text almost every time I'm on KUSI from her saying, either kind of giving me like, yeah, look good, or you need to move your bangs over a little, or whatever. The front's kind of sitting there, and you need to the side bit.
She didn't call those bangs.
I don't think she called them bangs.
Trust me, Cindy in Escondido is better.
We're gonna have like we're having
We're having a
a hair girl fight.
So anyway, I think Heather had asked me if I wanted to do this podcast. I said, sure, I'll go talk to the guy. And so went over there, and it was really interesting. It was a lot of fun to do, and we talked about situational awareness, because I had taught a class for the group of realtors, because Heather's also a realtor, and so I taught a pepper spray situational awareness class for the group, and she said, hey, why don't you go talk to John about situational awareness? So okay, so we went over, and that's what we talked about mostly for about 45 minutes, but it was a really interesting podcast, a good show, because that's a good subject, I guess, for people. And we say situational awareness, it's kind of the techie term for just paying attention when you're out there, and how to avoid criminals, how to avoid becoming a victim or being selected. I think, was it Masad Ayub always says to fail the victim selection process, I think is how he describes it. But, just talking about things to pay attention to, because, when we talk about that kind of stuff, criminals are basically predators, and they look for certain things, and they look for certain kinds of prey, basically. And the things that they do to get close to you, because they have to get close to you, they can't hurt you from across the street, they have to get up close to you. And the things that they do are kind of obvious if you're paying attention for them. So we talk about that kind of stuff and what to look for and everything. And so it was really a good, interesting discussion about that.
What's a kind of a general tip? Like I know there's a bunch of different, angles and points to make or whatever. What's like a good general tip? What would you, if you could summarize it in a couple sentences, what would you tell somebody who's never even considered, situational awareness?
So a couple of sentences, actually. It's just the conditions that you're in. That they have conditions of awareness, a color code thing. And condition white is people. And if you go out of here tonight, when you walk around out in the public, you'll see a lot of people in condition white. They're oblivious to everything that's around them. They're not really paying attention to the people that are around them. They're playing with their phones. And phones are a big thing, too, because you see a lot of that nowadays. And if you're walking down the street, with a phone, so it's got your complete attention. You're not looking around. You can't see someone watching you. You can't see someone walking toward you. You can't see someone coming up behind you. And the other thing is you're holding a $600 or $700 thing in your hand. Yeah. So it's like holding $600 or $700, just flashing it around as you're walking down the street. You're making yourself a target. So that, I think, is kind of the most thing. When you're out in public, pay attention, because there's just there's so much out there, and not to frighten people or anything, but I mean, this stuff happens all the time, and it happens in nice places. It happens during the day.
Do you have a situational awareness story? Is there something that sticks out where you're like, I was situationally aware, and so bad things didn't happen to me?
For me personally, no, I don't think so. Other than, people approaching me in like parking lots and stuff. I've had that from time to time, and they're probably fine. The thing is, you don't know, because, again, criminals, if it is really a violent criminal or a criminal that wants something that you have, you're not the first time they've done that. They've done that a whole bunch of times. It's probably your first encounter with them, but it's certainly not their first encounter with you. And, a lot of times we have this feeling that, we need to be like socially responsible. We can't embarrass ourselves, or we can't appear to be unfriendly or something like that. You have no obligation to shake somebody's hand, for instance.
Right.
If a stranger comes up to you and puts their hand out, or
or asked to use your cell phone.
Yeah, or
ask you what time it is.
ask you what time it is, or it comes up to you with a 10. Hey, did you drop this? Because again, they need to get close to you, and once they're close, like once they get inside what John Correa describes as your reactionary gap. Once they get within arm's length of you, it doesn't matter really what you know. There's not enough time to react to whatever it is they do.
Yeah.
And when you see that stuff, and John Correa is another one I mention all the time. His active self-protection YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that, I always tell people just click on there and check it out, because what John does is put videos of real crimes up there every day, and there's usually a new one every day. And there are videos anywhere from 4 minutes, 5 minutes, up to maybe 10 minutes or so. And he breaks them down and he critiques them and he describes, okay, here's the good guy, here's our defender on the left, here's the bad guy coming in up on the right. And it's some of the best education or information you get out there. It's completely free. And like there was one on there this morning about this, where you say it was in New York City, and it's a guy and a girl walking down the street. This other guy, who turns out to be the victim, comes up and confronts this guy that's walking with this woman. And you can see them kind of arguing kind of back and forth for a few seconds. And then the guy that's with the woman just pulls out this knife and slashes this guy twice. And the guy just goes down, and they walk away. And then they walk into a bar that was a few doors down.
I don't know what's wrong with some people.
Well, but again, they eventually caught this guy, and it turns out he's got a long criminal record, and he's done that kind of thing a number of times. But
what was the victim approaching the guy about? Do we know that?
No, they didn't have any information on that. But they did say that they had no relationship. There was no, they didn't know one another or anything like that. And but that kind of stuff happens a lot. If you watch those videos, it's surprising how often that happens. So you need to be paying attention to that stuff. And in that video, the guy that ended up getting slashed like that let this guy, he initiated it, but he walked right up like nose to nose with this guy. And you can't. That's a dumb thing. We talk about John Farnham's rules of stupid. Don't go stupid places at stupid times and do stupid things with stupid people.
That's right.
And if you violate one of those, you're kind of okay, probably. You violate two, you're probably going to have a problem. And just getting closer, doing dumb things like that with strangers that you have no idea. I think Kelly Martinez mentioned the other day at the meet and greet,
the sheriff.
2 minutes.
the sheriff that said, what did she say? 83% of the men that come into the jail have either alcohol and or drugs in their system.
83%.
And it's like 67% or 63%, something like that, for the women that they see in the jail.
That's a lot.
So strangers or people that you encounter like that on the street, there's a really good chance that they're high or they're drunk or they're both, on top of the issues that they already have, either mental issues or mental health issues or being a criminal or that kind of stuff. So again, not to say it's real dangerous out there, but you do have to pay attention.
You shouldn't even honk your horn at somebody.
Well, again,
you'd be surprised. You honk a horn at somebody, and if he's not happy with what you did, next thing you know, you got road rage on your hands.
Well, and that's the thing too, is concealed carriers. When we talk to concealed carriers, we tell them you have to be polite. And because you don't know how crazy the other guy is.
My wife wanted me to put an air horn on her police.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's good.
If she knew, she'd get it.
When we get back, why don't we go around and say how do you do anything differently? Do you behave differently? Do you act differently now that you have a CCW? Let's go around and talk about that one.
All right. Hey, Inland Empire gun owners strive to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment. That's iegunowners.com/join. By the way, Action Jackson, the email we were talking about, this guy said that when you're not on, he's not happy.
Yeah, he said you're like his favorite part of the show.
You are, yeah, he actually said you were his favorite part of the show.
Really?
Serious as art.
What's it like having fans?
It's awesome.
You got fans. You were not here last weekend, but I went down to 511, and I'm old enough to be your grandfather.
At least.
So I told him, I says, can I get the Action Jackson discount? Oh, you know Action Jackson? Yeah, sure, we'll hook you up. Didn't get as good.
They kicked him out. They picked him up and
No,
threw him out in the parking lot.
I bought, and I says, how do you find clothes for that guy? He says, hey, we got clothes for that guy.
That's right. They got for all folks.
But
young
yeah,
and old.
I think you've got some kind of VIP discount.
Are you a 5'11" VIP?
You could say.
Yeah, he does, man. I'm telling you, you'd think, oh,
Awesome.
really? I'm surprised his picture wasn't on the wall.
Yeah.
It probably is.
There's a I don't have any VIP status anywhere, but I definitely have PIA status.
You have
People wear it
PIA?
all over the-
Oh,
Pretty proud of that.
That's pretty
Pretty
good.
proud of that. So we were talking to Joe Dramisi about situational awareness. I wanted to continue talking a little bit about that, Joe, and then go into what you have coming up for 2023. And before we went to the break, the question was, how do you behave differently? What do you do differently now that you have a CCW? Something changed? Something you do differently? Alicia, why don't we start with you?
Well, it's part of when you're with the issuing of the CCW, you would then become responsible, and there's some liability that goes with that. And then when it comes to a justified use of force, there's actually 5 different aspects to a justified use of force, and one of those being innocence. So if you live your life in a way that you kind of have a demeanor about you that could be seen as aggressive or gruff or difficult, in my opinion, it can give some fuel to the prosecution if you ever have to use your firearm or any of your tools in a use of self-defense. So something that really hit hard with me was the idea of you always have to maintain that an aspect of innocence in the way that you behave and how you treat people. And I know that Joe can probably even expand on that as well when he. But you have to think of how you approach people, how you talk to people, how you look at people, how you interact with people. If somebody is difficult towards you, you have to kind of live a life of de-escalation, and you have that responsibility.
Live a life of de-escalation. That's a good
You do.
phrase. Did you? Is that seriously? Did you just say that, or is that
Yeah.
from somebody
T-shirt.
else? Is that? It almost sounds like something like you should coin that. That should be your
That's a
phrase right
t-shirt.
now. Yeah, seriously. That sounds like, you know how John Korea's got like 15, 20
At least.
Korea-isms.
At least.
I think you just coined an Alicia-ism.
There you go.
So. Joe, what about you? Is there something you do different, a way that you live your life differently now that you're a CCW, now that you're a daily carry?
Yeah, I think I pay more attention to stuff now than I
Mhm.
used to. I people watch a lot more, and there was a girl that was in class one time used the term of what ifin', and I do a lot more what ifin' nowadays. So when I walk into say a business or something like that, I always kind of glance around to see who's in there, who could be a threat, maybe who couldn't.
Mhm.
And it sounds weird, but it's kind of fun to do. Just looking around, okay, not a problem, not a problem, not a problem. Could be,
You're like the
and-
Terminator.
And yeah, pretty much. I've had that go through my mind when I was looking around doing that.
It's like, you know what it's almost like, in all seriousness, it's almost like life has turned into the last 10 minutes of the last episode of The Sopranos. You know what I mean? We're like, ding, ding, ding. Okay, who just walked in? And who is that? Why are they, what's the,
Yeah, and it's actually, because you pay attention, there's a lot of entertaining people out there, and you notice them. You notice a lot of weird stuff and things like that. But I'll think about that. I'll think about things like along the what if and thing. Okay, if something did happen, for instance, which way could you shoot? Because you got to be paying attention if
What's
you
your
had to
backstop?
do something like that. Yeah. How confident are you? Could I hit that person from here to there? And it's just things run through your mind now. I think the biggest thing is I pay more attention to stuff that's out there now than I did before. So I think that's probably the biggest change with me.
I far less road rage, in all honesty.
You used to be a road rager?
Well, maybe that's an extreme term, but far less, hey, that guy cut me off.
Oh, wait, you pepper sprayed people. You've done all kinds of stuff.
Hey, they deserve, only people that
Kids, I
deserve
thought
it.
they were.
So far, I don't, when I say road rage, I didn't,
Yeah.
I just mean
You're telling the
I'm
truth.
I'm far more patient in traffic.
Why
That's a
do I
better way
find
to
that
put it.
hard to believe?
Well, I drive a Jeep too. Jeep's a lot older. But in all seriousness, far less concerned with rude people on the freeways. Just, you know what? They're having a bad day. Fine, do
I'm
their
right
thing.
there with you.
I would say that I was never a big drinker, but now
You really are.
if I but now, oh my God, no. Now, I don't really, if I'm not planning to drink, like, oh, hey, I'm going to go to I don't know, like a bourbon tasting or something like that. I really don't drink. I definitely, of course, you can't drink when you're carrying,
Right.
at all, not one sip. And then third is I really, I don't really, I'm a little more hesitant to jump in when someone needs help, in all honesty, I have all kinds of stories.
Have you ever had a situation where you should have jumped in, but you didn't because you were carrying?
No, not yet. But I have a ton of stories of jumping in when people need it. Tons. And now it's like, meh, let's just kind of watch from afar. Like where I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go get right in the middle of that thing and make sure that he or she or whatever, they're okay. And now it's like, let's just kind of
stand back and
let's see how
don't even bother.
Let's just see how this plays out, because it really does feel like there's an attorney up in Orange County, the guy that runs Artemis, who did a really good job of stating it this way: that when you get a CCW, the only thing that it does is it gives you an exception from some of the transportation laws in California. So what he was saying was, you're not a cop now. You don't suddenly have some kind of authority. So my concern is, if I do assert myself in a situation where, I don't know, there's a crime being committed or people arguing or whatever, if I do assert myself, I don't want to be accused. I certainly don't want to escalate the situation, and I don't want to be accused, or nor do I want to be the person that made it worse, or, thought that, hey, I have a gun, therefore I can do X, Y, Z. That's really bad. That's not the way you should. I don't think it's not the way I choose to behave.
I think it's important too to note that and it was great you stated that you don't have the authority of law enforcement, but I think it's also important to put out there and remind people, not only do you not have the authority to act as law enforcement, you also don't have a responsibility to step in to any encounter you don't choose to. Just because you have the ability doesn't mean that you have the responsibility to do so.
Well, and the other thing with that too is there's a million ways. If you insert yourself in some kind of third party thing, there's a million ways that can go sideways. And when you choose to get involved, you're risking everything. You're risking your freedom, maybe your life, your future, your job,
your
everything.
bank account.
Well, because you're automatically wrong. You're automatically guilty.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
and
I know, but if something was, who are they going to? They're going to go after you first.
Well, and what you have to think about first is, okay, do I need to? Is it better just to call 911? Let those guys deal with it. And everybody, what we teach in class is everybody has a line that, I'm not willing to watch that. I'll watch two guys fighting. Am I willing to watch a man beat a woman up and just call? Am I willing to watch somebody beating a kid?
Right.
So what is my line that I'm going to actually cross and then risk all that stuff? And you need to think about that ahead of time.
That's why you need to belong to USCC. I'm serious.
They should goof that up.
Yeah,
everybody should have some kind of.
You got to have some protection, because you just never know. A lot of companies are unhappy with their website. It looks old. It's out of date. It's not getting customers. Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. So stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're going to be proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is super easy. Call 866-728-9100, 866-728-9100, and fix your website today.
My thing, Joe's got to look. What happened? What'd I do?
No, you didn't do anything. I was just a thought. Thoughts just flow through. I was just thinking of the pirate's favorite letter.
R. So we were talking about.
Oh, actually, you would think it's R, but it's actually the C. Thank you.
Yeah, because they spent so long at sea.
That's right.
There you go. How much does a pirate pay for corn, Action Jackson?
How much?
Buccaneer. Huh?
And I have one. Why couldn't the 11-year-old get into the pirate movie?
Why couldn't the 11-year-old get into the pirate movie?
It was rated R.
Nice.
Someone was watching SpongeBob there, I can tell.
You watch SpongeBob SquarePants Pizza?
Many times.
Yeah.
All right.
I interviewed him one time.
SpongeBob SquarePants?
Yeah. Is that what it is? I call him Square. Yeah. Anyway, I totally destroy it. It just drove him crazy. Square Bob Pan Pizza.
I don't understand. What do you mean you interviewed SpongeBob?
I interviewed him at the San Diego International Auto Show one year.
Oh.
I says, "Why is your sponge so dirty?" And he says, "I use it."
I don't know what's going on anymore. All right, so
It was a great interview, though.
Sometimes you go down those
we're going back
paths
to yeah, good job, Joe. Thanks, man.
Bring out the best of us.
So the we're talking about situational awareness. I think my thing with one of the things that I have done that I do now that has been with me for a while. It's not even really a decision I made, but when I'm walking down the street, I think I've talked about this on the show. When I'm walking down the street and someone's walking behind me, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I've actually what I'll do
Well,
is
you do good in New York.
Yeah, I know, right? I wouldn't get anywhere.
Thousands of people behind you.
So if it's kind of a big crowd, if it makes sense that there are a bunch of people around and then that's the only, but if it's
What if you go into a football game?
well, then it makes sense.
They all
It's
have to
okay.
go first?
No, it's okay. Like if it's like, okay, there's a big crowd, they're all around. Okay, that makes sense. But if there's plenty of room for someone to be somewhere else and they're walking behind me,
Right.
then I've actually like put my back up against the wall. Like I'll take a step and just put my back up against the wall and watch them walk by.
Okay, so are you one of these kind of guys when you go into a restaurant, you make sure your back is against the wall and you can see the door?
I do a quick evaluation, yeah.
But I mean, do you make a point of sitting to where you can see
Yeah, yeah.
nice clear?
Yeah, in fact, Joe and I think we have this I think Joe and I have this unspoken contest when we go somewhere to eat, because the guy who gets there first gets to be the one
Gets the
that's
best
facing the
seat.
show or facing the door. So I think he and I, if we say 9:00, it's one of us is going to show up at like 8:30.
Yeah, or 8 o'clock, just waiting.
Maybe that's just me, Joe. I don't know if it's. Are you playing?
No, it's not you.
Is that just?
That's what we do.
Are you playing?
You too, Alicia?
Yes, sir.
Or if you do, you got to tell the guy. Like if you get there and
Get
someone,
out of my
fight.
chair.
Yeah, if Alicia and I go to lunch or whatever, and she gets there first, and she's in the chair and she's facing the door. I'm like, all right,
I've got his back.
you got it. You're the one.
You're in
with the-
charge.
Yeah, make sure. I'll cover the bathroom.
Let me know
door,
so I
guess.
can duck.
No one's coming to us from the bathroom.
That's right.
I guess it's made me a better person. I don't no road rage, no drinking, and and then I don't get involved in domestic
much.
squabbles, I suppose. But it definitely has made me think. Now, there are a lot of courses offered. Of course, it seems like I don't know if you saw the new CCW instructor list. There's about 478 people
I'm on there.
on this list. Alicia is there. She's 477, I think. Everybody and their brother is on this list for CCW.
So there's no excuse for training.
Yeah, well, so let me say this. There's no excuse to not get training, but there wasn't an excuse before. And I got to tell you, a list that big, research. I do a little bit of research because there are names on there. No one I know who's been around San Diego recognizes. And if you're an instructor, and nobody in the gun community has heard it, you just appear out of nowhere. I don't know. Just make sure you do a little.
So I don't know where Jason went, but he had to get his schooling for CCW.
Yeah.
And he had to drive all the way to L.A.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
So he didn't want to do that. So he called Manny up. He goes, "Do you know anybody that trains here in San Diego?" And Manny says, "I do."
Yeah, Manny's on the list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, again, research.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not. You don't have to. You don't need their tax returns from 10
Well,
years
you can
ago, but-
actually use either Joe or you can use Alicia.
honestly. So here, I just thought of this. If you're out there listening, you're
you should
wondering
be
who to
on the
lose.
website, a preferred instructor.
Well, the first question I would ask is, were you on the list 2 years ago?
Mhm.
And if you were, you should feel fairly comfortable. If they weren't, then I would just ask a few more questions. Well, wait a minute. What were you
Can't
doing
you
before?
just go to the San Diego County Gun Owners
we don't.
website?
We don't have any kind of evaluation now.
Well, why not?
Because that would take another job. That would be a whole other job
Well,
to
you got,
evaluate.
list
you
now.
got two sitting right here. You don't even have to do the
100
vetting.
people. But where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to take that initial course. And that initial course, half of it's testing. You're not going to learn everything you need to know in order to carry. And Joe, you are working on a course coming up in 2023. I don't know if you're offering it yet, but talk a little bit about the kind of what's the name of the course?
So the course is CCW Next Steps is what it is. And what it's intended to do is show people all the other stuff you need to know to effectively, safely carry every day. Because, we talk about, like Michael was saying, it's a state-mandated 8-hour class is what, they require everybody to go through.
Mhm.
But you're really not, we can't cover all the stuff that you really need to know because there's a lot of just day-to-day stuff that people need to learn to be able to carry, again, safely, and if they ever have to use it, to be effective and to know what they can do, what they can't do. And we touch on it in the required class, but the Next Steps class goes into all that kind of stuff because with us, like with Alicia or Michael, we're immersed in this stuff. We talk to people every day that carry, that teach, so we're always hearing this stuff. But a lot of people, they get their concealed carry. Okay, you got your license. Now what? They don't have a lot of friends that carry. So for them, finding the right holster, figuring out ways to carry, there's different ways you can carry, dealing with the clothing, carrying with a round in the chamber is always a big deal, because that's something you have to get used to, and that's just a training kind of thing.
How did you handle that?
With me, I was really nervous for a couple of weeks. I think I liked your idea, the way you did it.
What was tell him? Tell him. Yeah, tell him what I did.
What I did, I just I carried. Okay, I've got around the chamber. The thing is racked. It's in my holster. I know.
Safety's on.
Not on the Glock. There's no safe. Well, they're internal safeties, but it's just, I know in my mind, I know it can't go off. It can't fire if I don't touch the trigger and the holster covers the trigger and everything's safe. But yet, like when I'm teaching project management stuff, a lot of times I'll have a sport coat on and the gun's there. And for the first probably month that I carried like that, in the back of my head is, oh, what if this thing goes off? It's gonna, and I know it can't.
It'll ruin your pants.
But that's the kind, and that's normal for everybody. The way Michael did it, I think you were telling me that you carried for a week or two without a round in the chamber.
About a month.
With the so you've got the trigger is set, so the thing's racked. There's just no round in the chamber.
Yep, full mag.
And one of the things when you come home at night, you verify that yes, indeed, the trigger's still in the same condition. Nothing happened. It didn't do anything.
Yep.
But it's stuff like that. There's a lot of things, again, that you need to know. We talk a lot about the situational awareness thing, paying attention. There's a whole book list I have on there for people to read up on this stuff because, a lot of the times, and Alicia could probably talk to this too, when we teach students, when we go through that state-mandated course, probably half the people in that room will not step into another classroom for another 2 years till they have to come back and recert. And that's not a good way to do it. So what I want to offer is this Next Steps class to go through all that kind of stuff that if you're not immersed in it like we are, it's hard to learn. It's hard to figure out. So we've got the first one is scheduled for the 18th of February and then the 18th of March.
18th of, so where do they go to sign up for that?
So just put the just got the links set up now. So I think what we'll probably do is put it out on the San Diego County gun owner site. If you're a student of Bill Deasy's, you'll get that in the email because you'll be on Bill's email list. Desi wanted it too to put out to the Not Me SD people. So those are three places right now.
Is it up on the CCW USA website though, or not yet?
Should be. I know it was supposed to go out on Bill's newsletter the other day. So it
those are good.
Be up there.
So look for it. If you're not a member of San Diego County Gun Owners, become a member. At the very least, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be able to see this. It's a 4-hour?
It's a 4-hour course.
Okay.
And you want the cost or
how much is it?
4-hour course. It's $125, and you get a textbook with it. So there's 2 textbooks actually, because there's the one USCCA textbook, the Concealed Carry and Home Defense, which is a really good textbook. So that comes with the class. Or if you already have that book, the other book I'm offering is John Petrolino's.
There he is.
Firearms book, the Firearms 101 book.
The Penn Patriot himself.
That's right. The Gabagool Patriot.
The Gabagool Patriot. John has a long mustache. Love that guy.
So yeah, you'll get a textbook with the class. You'll get a lot of great information. It should be a really good class.
That's awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that class being successful because I think it's very much needed. We have successfully helped change and are in the process of changing the culture in San Diego when it comes to gun ownership. And that includes a lot more people carrying outside of the home for self-defense. And, you know, there's a lot of great training out there. Most people focus on marksmanship. Okay, fine. But there's a whole other universe of stuff that people need to know. And your 4-hour class, I think, will take a big chunk of you know, a bite out of the confusion people face.
Hope so.
Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker?
Nope.
That's 100 pounds bigger. That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and the Inland Empire. So get help today at notmesd.org.
What do you say, Action Jackson? Do you like gabagool?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
With the Italian accent and everything?
Not bad, huh?
That was
pretty good.
adorable. So we were just talking to Joe about his Next
busy
Steps
over
program for people that have a CCW. Dave, why come you don't have your CCW?
You know,
We've only been talking about it for 6.5 years.
I know. I really need to do it. I just
Let's
keep
do
buying
it.
guns, but I don't have a CCW.
Well, let's do it. That's your New Year's resolution.
I know.
You and I are going to sit down and
You're absolutely right.
get that squared away.
You know, it's funny. Just to go back to that class real quickly,
Yeah.
because you're asking about the link to it. It's on the USCCA site. If you go up to USCCA, go onto the training, in-person training, and you type in your zip code. So you type in the San Diego zip code, you'll see the classes pop up on there, and that's where you'd have to register anyway.
Nice.
So those are the links that we'll be sending out, but you can go right to that website.
And
register
it's not
there
a
as well.
shooting class, right? There's
No, it is not. It's all classroom.
It's all classroom. Okay, cool. I might, I'm going
Gonna
to
take
get you to, I think
You have nothing else.
Alicia, you want to go take Joe's class with me?
I'll go. I
Yeah.
like Joe.
And try to do this every month. So
That's awesome. Alicia, now what you have a class coming up too, don't you?
I do. In a similar vein, it's intended to be a tool to be beneficial, and you don't have to have a CCW to take it, but it's just aimed at being a tool to kind of aid in training and just the mindset. And it's following some curriculum from the Complete Combatant, using what's called image-based decisional drills, and it's really putting real-life type scenarios in front of your eyes, and you have to make some quick, really good first decisions. And it's just kind of teaching people, you know, the whole idea of when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You know, for people that are beginning to conceal carry, sometimes they think their option to solve every conflict could be the use of that firearm. And it's kind of teaching you have to think things through. That may not always be the best choice. And so it's just really putting you in these situations. It's in a classroom setting. It's not a range or shooting class, but it's giving you the opportunity to kind of think and to kind of put yourself in these steps or in these shoes of these scenarios, and kind of getting you to really think things through.
and that's a great approach, and that's great material. That's Brian Hill's stuff.
It is.
right?
Brian
The
Hill, Complete Combatant. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a really good. I'm guessing yours is going to be a really good course with that.
Yeah.
Did you
think so.
took that too, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah,
Joe and
took-
I did it together.
Yeah,
I think you guys are all trained
Yeah.
over there.
that's what I said.
Me and
See,
Dave.
we're,
Dave
we're
doesn't even,
immersed in it.
he doesn't even have a permit. I haven't
No.
taken a class in
I
15
just-
years.
Yeah, no.
We feel so irresponsible. By the way, it's not true, everybody. I've taken a class
No, you haven't.
14 years ago. Okay.
When you were 3.
By the way, big announcement real quick. If you are on the San Diego County Gun Owners email list, then you just received an email. Go check your email. Legal self-defense class, exclusive free seminar for all San Diego County Gun Owners members. We just opened this up to every San Diego County Gun Owners member, totally free. What happens if someone's trying to hurt you or invade your home or business, and what are the steps to take next? What do I say when I call 911? Do I call my legal protection? What happens after I call 911? There are many things to consider
Mhm.
if you somehow have to use your firearm to protect yourself. So we're having a seminar with an attorney provided by Lone Star Firearm Defense, a great guy named Alan Chandler. It's January 11th, which is Wednesday.
Yeah.
What are you doing Wednesday?
It's too far out.
You should come, man. Come down.
You'll have to call and remind me.
I will. January 11th from 6:30 to about 8. Probably not going to run all the way
Can
to
you
8.
come pick me up
Sure, I'll come pick you up.
in your Jeep?
Then yeah.
No.
I'm not going to let you drive, though. I've seen the way you
Bring a jacket.
drive.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's the location's listed. It's sponsored by Living Legacy, one of our members,
And when is it?
Aaron. So it's a seminar on basically if you do get involved in some kind of firearms, defensive gun use situation or something like that, we're getting an attorney to come talk to you about, okay, well, what now? Like, what are the things that needs
John
to
Dillon?
happen? It's not John Dillon. It's a guy named Alan Chandler.
Not going to do it.
Alan's just as
No.
good as John, I
John
promise.
Dillon or nobody.
Basic course overview is, dealing with the police, the 911 or 911 call, displaying your firearm versus using deadly force, et cetera, et cetera.
How much does it cost?
Free. If you're looking at the email,
It's
you
free?
you RSVP on the link, and it is totally free because you're a San Diego County gun owners person.
By the way, you forgot to talk about this.
What?
Join the newsletter.
Oh yeah.
And
I was about.
no, this is at
I was
5
getting there.
o'clock. You're late.
Well,
Win a prize.
better late than never.
GunOwnersRadio.com/subscribe. You can get merch.
Merch?
Like Action Jackson's wearing.
What are you wearing, bud?
Got his merch on.
Is that your gun owners radio hat? That's awesome, man. How does it feel?
Great.
How come you didn't go for the red?
This is red.
No, it's not. Part of it's red.
The full
brim.
bill.
The full
The bill.
red. Do
The
you feel?
duck bill.
Do you feel smarter?
Very smart.
You look smart.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah, go to what's the deal? What's the announcement that I forgot? You already do it. Sign up. Go to gunownersradio.com.
Just go to gunownersradio.com/subscribe.
Yeah.
And
Gunowners
we
Radio.
can pull your name.
.com/subscribe.
Win some merch.
And win some merch. Awesome. Yeah, Rich did a really good job of having Gun Owners Radio merch up.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
So there's not an election this year. It's 2023.
Yeah, there is.
What's the election?
Somebody's going to get kicked out.
Well, I was about to say let's hope not, but actually maybe we should hope for that.
Well, it was exciting the last 3 days.
There's no election. It is definitely a growth year at San Diego County Gun Owners, Orange County Gun Owners, and Umpire. But I suggest my recommendation: make 2023 the year to train. And we just mentioned 3. There's a free opportunity to take a legal seminar for gun owners right here in San Diego this Wednesday. All you got to do is sign up. Alicia's going to have a fantastic course on decision making.
Yep.
And Joe is rolling out a course on, hey, you got your CCW, now what? There are so many opportunities to train. I would put San Diego, of course I haven't lived in every corner of the country, but from the feedback I have gotten and from things I've seen, one of the best places in the country to train. We have a lot of special operations guys who end their career here and say, hey, I want to stay in San Diego, so let me teach a bunch of people how to use their firearm. You got all these, super SEALs from Coronado.
And there's no confusion. You only have 3 guns available in California. So
well, we're
it's
working on it.
It's not complicated.
We're working on it. We have all these great instructors. There's so many opportunities in San Diego to train. And you don't have to be rich.
Well, and the other thing too is, like I was saying, we're immersed in it because there's a lot of, like just as an example, Miles at Tactical Hive.
Yeah.
Just great training there. I just did a force-on-force training there a month or 2 ago. But, unless you're plugged into the community, you get on the email list, you don't really see that stuff. If you search for it, a lot of times some of the best training doesn't pop up because it's like you're saying, it's groups of former military guys or something that are now doing training here. And the training's really good. It's just, it's a little bit challenging to find unless you get involved with groups like San Diego County Gun Owners or people like that are involved in the community. You'll hear about this stuff. You get on the email list and then you'll see these trainings that come up. But a lot of really quality training out here.
Yeah.
And I'm wishing I would have known about the course like what Joe's offering, his Next Steps course. When I first got my permit, I was already immersed and I was already in the world. But even with the experience that I had, carrying on your body is a whole different animal than range shooting. And, and having the opportunity to kind of have somebody kind of help guide or to give suggestions, I had nobody. I had to figure it out on my own. And if there were classes, I didn't know about them. So I'm glad he's doing it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's just the difference, like carrying and manipulating a loaded gun, for instance. Most people do that on the firing lines at the range.
Yep.
When you're a concealed carrier, you're going to be doing it every morning when you get dressed, when you come home in the afternoon, and you got to be, for one, you got to be switched on all the time, which some people, have to work up to that, I guess. But I mean, there's a lot of considerations and things like that. And again, if you don't have anybody to talk to, what do you do when Aunt Emma, hugs you and, oh, what's that? How do you handle that? Dealing with family, with friends, with colleagues. So it's stuff like that. If you don't know people that are doing it, who do you ask? How do you find that stuff out? So hopefully that's a sample of some of the kind of stuff that we'll talk about in the class.
Well, learning your equipment, that lesson is, I learned my very first, I think it was my first formal shooting class. It was a shotgun class. It was a multi-day shotgun class. And I show up with the most simplest of pump action shotguns. And everybody else in this class it was all decked out, had all kinds of everything hanging off their shotgun. I was so intimidated. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 rounds into this class, all that cool stuff that was attached to their shotgun was now on the ground at their feet. There was like a circle of stuff around them, because it was, they had to.
And you're still shooting heavy duty.
Yeah. And they just had to, like, all right, well, here, this didn't work this way, so I have to do it another way or whatever, So they had to learn, but you're not going to learn unless you use it. You definitely don't want to use it when there's a ski mask in your house looking at you, telling you, hands up. So train. I think this should be the year. I think that's what we're going to focus on. We're really going to try to tell people that's
because we've got an awful lot of people out there with guns.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
More so than we've ever had in the last 2 years.
More so than we've ever
legal
had.
People anyway. About 8,700 CCW licenses, and the sheriff said
Is that what we're up to
5,000
now?
in the queue.
Mhm.
Yeah, a little over 8,700.
5,000 in the
And
queue.
CCW classes with those legitimate instructors, they're packed to the brim, and their classes are full, pushing people through.
So 8,700-ish. I haven't looked at the numbers, but you're right. She did say 5,000 CCWs
in the queue,
and they issued how many in like the last 2 months? It just went up by like 1,000 or something.
Yeah, it was like
900,
953 or something like that. Yeah.
And she's, by the way, everybody wants to know.
she's true to her word.
Well, she's true to her word, and she's going to be even more truer to her word. We talked a lot about that. That hey, we helped you get elected, we stood by you, we believe in you, but now's the time. We got to get this CCW thing straightened out. She is committed to doing exactly that. But like Joe just said, there are 5,000 people in line right now. 5,000 people in line.
And if you're one of those people with an appointment that's like a year and a half out, keep checking that online portal. People cancel. Appointments get opened up.
Yeah,
Keep checking.
Because they're not going to contact you.
No, you have to be proactive. You log into that portal, and if something sooner is available and you want it, jump on it.
Yeah, I would just pick a day of the week and just say, hey, you know what, every day at this, I'm going to go check Permidium and see if something's opened up, and inevitably you're gonna find something. And we don't want a single space to go wasted.
Right.
We want to try to cut into that 5,000 person line.
The current count right now 8,784.
Well, bam. From 1,100 in
Mhm.
2000, it was 1,100 at the end of the summer of 2017. About 1,100.
Crazy.
Now it's at
8784.
8784.
Keep working. A self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense. But if you must, then you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists. Because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about the USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR.
Time for.
Will you wait
Sorry,
a minute,
I jumped the
Jeez
gun
Louise?
there.
Take him out, Jackson. Give him a hit. See? You're done.
All right.
Act now, because the life you save could be your own. uscca.com/GOR.
Okay, so now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam the Gunman is my nephew, and we found out years ago that he is extremely good at gun trivia. Joe, I stopped trying to label it. Stop trying to, mensch or whatever I was coming up with.
Nothing.
Now I just say he's extremely good at gun trivia.
You want Mensa?
Mensa?
What are you talking about?
No, there was a time we were trying to come up with a label for him. I called him a mensch at one point. I called him I don't know. I just decided to. See, this is why I decided to just say he's good at gun trivia. Anyway, if you send in a gun trivia question and we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a shirt. If you stump my nephew, then we'll give you a special prize. So, can you read this, bud? Oh, wait. Sam, you there?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. You ready for the question?
Yeah.
All right.
Harold from San Diego asks, what is the CAE09 from North Shore Sports Club?
So what is the CA-09 from North Shore Sports Club?
And who sent that in?
That's Harold from San Diego. Also goes by
Harold from San Diego.
Schmedley.
Thank you very much for writing in. What is the CA-09 from North Shore Sports Club? I have to say I have no idea what North Shore Sports Club is, and I don't know what the CA-09 is either. So that's just a flat I don't know for both.
Wow, Harold.
You
from San
win a new
Diego.
car.
You win something. I don't know what you win, but what's
Wait a
up?
minute.
I didn't think a question could be that tough for Sam.
Well, occasionally. He usually gets them right, doesn't he, bud?
Yeah.
I totally thought he'd get this one.
We thought we were going to. Okay. We'll stop rubbing it in and start. We'll just give you the answer.
And then you'll say, "Oh yes, I remember that."
And you are going to hear from
Better
your
not
sister
be
after
some
this.
kind of trick question.
I don't. Well,
Yes, it was.
see what you think. North Shore Sports Club developed the CA-09, a coil accelerator gun that electronically shoots steel discs at rates up to 2,400 rounds per minute. The railgun has an advertised effective range of 20 to 30 feet, and the double-sided magazine can hold 50 rounds, 25 rounds per side. The rate of fire and velocity is adjustable and features a monitor that shows the number of rounds left in the magazine, kind of like on Terminator. You ever heard of
Okay,
that? I haven't heard of that.
I think I remember hearing something about that, but honestly, I don't pay much attention to the electromagnetic. Well, they're not really firearms, are they? Rail guns and coil guns. So that's why he got me. That's something I don't pay attention to at all. Good question.
How does that? Do you have any? How does that work? How does it work when what they're describing?
He doesn't
What's
know.
the physics?
He doesn't know because he don't
so
care.
They have a few different classes of electromagnetic projectile launchers. You have rail guns and you have coil guns, and Gauss rifle, I think, just refers to a coil gun, but I'm not sure. I'm not an electrical engineer. A rail gun is basically a linear motor that runs an electric current through the projectile. So it has to be made of something conductive, usually steel. And that forms one of the poles of an electromagnet and forces itself down the barrel. A coil gun uses induction, I think. It uses a series of coils around what we would call the barrel to fire in rapid succession to propel the projectile down the barrel.
So interestingly, the North Shore Sports Club is in Illinois. Looks like it's a shooting range, and you sure enough it looks like this is commercially available. You can buy this thing for $1,600. It kind of looks like a stapler. It kind of looks like the what's that gun that it's like a bullpup, like the P90 or something like that.
Like the Tavor?
Not the Tavor. Sam, what's the other one? Kind of looks like a stapler too.
What's what other one that looks like a stapler?
I thought it was like is it a P90?
That doesn't look like a stapler.
I think it looks like a stapler.
He thinks it does.
Anyway, it kind of looks like that. Proud to present the first ever commercially viable electric-powered coil accelerator using a series of electromagnetic coils. Our coil accelerator can expel nickel-plated iron projectiles at various velocities and rates of fire.
Well, let's just wait till Joe buys it.
Yeah, man. You
Does
get
that come with like a backpack generator or something?
So
to
he'll
fire
have
that
it in
thing?
his collection.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Like how? I don't know. It's got a red dot on it. That's kind of cool.
Any velocity information? Like, does it shoot like a firearm? Are we talking those kinds of velocities out of the muzzle, or?
Near silent.
I don't think anyone's developed anything handheld that can go that fast. The highest velocities I've ever heard of, and again, I might be out of date because I don't follow these, but the highest velocities I've ever heard of are in the range of maybe 300 feet per second.
Oh, this isn't even that. Listen to this. Muzzle velocity, 3 modes. 80 feet per second, 115 feet per second, 140 feet per second.
That's a
Wow.
fancy BB gun is what that is.
It's a
Wow.
fancy BB
I
gun.
I think BB's got him beat.
The projectile the projectile is 275 grain. 275 grain. Max range 40 feet. Is it lethal at 40 feet though? I mean,
Well, it's
effective.
throwing discs. You could take your BB almost like shooting trap. Be a little mini trap thrower.
Says the effective range is 30 feet. I wonder if that means that's when it's lethal. Charging time is 1 hour. Battery life 700 rounds.
What's
So
the point?
You shoot 700 rounds. I don't know. I'm almost wondering if it's. I'll have to read more into it. But if it's in Illinois, I'm almost wondering if they were trying to get around some stupid firearms laws in Illinois. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to, necessity is the mother of invention.
I thought that all started in California.
The mothers of invention. Frank Zappa.
Everything starts here.
It did.
Well, it's only at those velocities. It's pretty much the bug assault gun, isn't it?
Yeah.
That thing's bad to
Salt.
the bone.
I wonder. I don't know if you. I don't. Yeah, it's probably not gonna. It's just gonna
Well,
annoy you if you get
I
hit
would
by
guess that this type of product is probably released to market so that they can point to something and say, "Look, we developed this, and it's a commercially viable product." And then they're going to use the money they get from selling that and probably use that to advertise to venture capital firms to get more funding for designing something that works a little better. That's my guess.
I think it's a good guess. All right. So fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side you're on, Harold stumped you. But it happens to even to the best of us. So, do you want to talk about your article?
The one that just went up or the one that's about to go up?
The one that just went up. The one that you didn't talk about last week.
That was, again, I sort of don't do these in order. So remind me again what the title was.
I don't remember.
You're doing good. You're doing good, Sam, because now he has to do the work.
I know. I don't recall. Was
this the one about outreach? I think this was the one. No.
Let's talk about outreach. Go for it.
Well, we were on the show. We were talking about late last year, if you will. We were talking about how important it is to do these shooting socials, and that SDCGO puts on a lot of these types of events because they're in a not very gun-friendly area, and so it's a great way to bring more people into the hobby. And so I was just writing about. I think that was the one that went up on January 2nd. I was writing about how important it is for all of us gun owners to participate in that kind of thing, because as much as some of us, not me, but as much as some of us might enjoy going on Facebook and sharing memes that make fun of anti-gunners, that doesn't convert anyone to our side. It's not productive.
That's true. And, these shooting socials are fun. No one has ever come and helped with a shooting social and said, it's really boring. Everybody, it's very rewarding. You don't have to be, you don't have to have a master's in firearms to teach somebody how to, safely have a first-time shooting experience. But it's only take about 2 hours, 8 to 10, usually Saturday or Sunday, usually Saturday mornings. You sign up.
2 minutes.
San Diego County Gunowners.com/volunteer. Sam, awesome job. Let's see if we can stump you again next week. Thank you so much for everything you do, my friend.
I'll try not to let you get 2 for 2.
All right, buddy. Take care.